the United States has finally decided to ban the sale of shark fins.
Ooh, nice.
Wait, you're telling me that shark fins weren't already banned?
Isn't that crazy? And I think that's the general like misconception, especially in places like Florida. Shark finning or not necessarily shark finning, but catching sharks, cutting off their fins and being able to sell them has been legal this entire time. So all of this like outrage about shark finning, and especially like the U.S. putting pressure on other places around the country, around the world, we've been doing it right here at home. So it's only now for the first time in 2023 that the Shark Fin Sales Elimination Act is going to be approved by President Biden. So it's long overdue, and it's a huge move for conservation of sharks. It's crazy that we haven't done it sooner.
Who's the lobbyist for pro shark finning? Like, there's it's not like a huge. I mean, I've lived in the U.S. my entire life. I've never been offered a bowl of shark fin soup in the U.S. It's not a huge billion-dollar industry.
Well, it is, but not necessarily.
They go overseas.
Right, not necessarily here. So there is, look, I'm not fully up to speed on like how it breaks down per nation, but we do undeniably pick up shark fins in the United States and ship them overseas. It's not as big as places like Costa Rica and Central America, but it is a big industry. But it just shouldn't be. It's like one of those sort of hypocritical things that we've been doing in the States. We have all these activists and lobbyists and outspoken soccer moms being like, stop shark finning. But they're like yelling at people in Central America and Indonesia, which, don't get me wrong, we shouldn't be promoting it anywhere. But they're like, barely getting by. Meanwhile, here at home, on our own soil, it's been going on this whole time. So
how many sharks, I just looked it up, Peter, for us, guess. How many sharks do you think each year are killed because of shark finning? Estimation.
I'm pretty sure I know the numbers. So, Peter,
according to the Monterey Bay Aquarium,
I'll go 25,000.
What a good guess. Is it 800 million?
100 million.
100
sharks.
million.
Holy shit!
100
a year
per year.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if you look at shark populations, like Forrest and I did a thing about. We never filmed it, but it was an episode we were going to do about the USS Indianapolis.
That's right.
And it's a famous shipwreck where it was actually the ship that delivered the atomic bombs that were dropped on Japan. And then shortly after that, it got torpedoed somewhere in the South Pacific, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And
near to Guam.
Went down, and a lot of the guys who survived the impact and the ship sinking were killed by sharks. And it's not,
Yikes.
Forrest, you assume that it was maybe a big school or a big group of, not school, but a big group of oceanic whitetips?
Correct. Oceanic whitetips, most likely culprits.
So
terrifying.
So when we were researching it, it's like the population of oceanic whitetips now versus then it's at like 2% of what it was during World War II.
Like if you can find
we really got
one,
them back, didn't we?
If you can find one, it's like really good. And like you film it and it's exciting. There's like one or two hotspots in the world where you can go that you're most likely going to see one versus back just during World War II, where they used to follow warships to eat garbage and things like that because there were so many of them around. They would just be following ships and waiting for things to get thrown overboard. And it's absolutely crazy. But good news nonetheless. The fact that it's getting signed in 2023 is huge. It's a big step for conservation. It's a nice put your money where your mouth is for the United States, I feel like. So that's a big step.
What do you think the enforcement will be like that? Like, so let's say this is like, is this like guys down in the Florida Keys that are finning sharks down there?
I think so. I think Florida's a big one, Louisiana, like all over the Gulf of Mexico. I think we even do it right here in California with soup fin and dogfish and things like that. I'm not really sure. But the enforcement has to be.
If you're not watching, Pat just got very angry and threw something at his daughter who's across the room off camera.
No, I threw something at the glass door in the office because my dog is like ferociously trying to like pound through the door, and I thought it was going to break the glass, and is now doing it again. And the door is like shaking off the hinges. That's really pissing me off.
Fucking dogs. Should make dog fin soup, no? By the way, so shark fin soup, and I know we want to move on, but I'm always dog legging. So The problem with this is that they're using just the fin and then they throw the rest out, right? Is that like the biggest issue with this?
That is the problem. One, they horrifically just slice the fins off and throw the animal back, so it's incredibly wasteful. But two, it is such a high demand because it is such a delicacy in Asia that it is driving shark populations to utter collapse. So sharks are at the top of the trophic cascade, right? Top of the food chain. And when you remove a whole lot of animals at the top, you have big trophic cascade effect, big disaster going down the food chain. Without shark fin soup fishing, 100 million animals a year would remain in the ecosystem, controlling and regulating and creating a healthier ocean. So the big problem is it's not even the fact that people are eating shark. It's the amount of sharks that are being killed, the amount of fins that are going into consumption, and thus creating this big market that ultimately can lead to oceanic collapse. That's the problem. It's not, if you're like, hey, I went out there and I caught a shark and I ate it, and I did that once in my life, that's like not really a big deal. I wouldn't recommend it. It tastes like shit. This is kind of interesting. Sharks piss through their skin. They release urea through their skin, which means all the urea, all their piss comes through their meat. So if you're eating shark meat, you're just eating pee tasting like white meat. It's disgusting. So,
Ew. I mean, that sounds fucking horrid.
it's gross and it doesn't taste good. That's why you have to like soak it in milk and all these things that people do. So anyway, my point being, it's actually not that bad to eat the odd shark here and there. I'm not saying go out and harpoon a white shark. I'm just saying, like, if you were fishing and you caught an angel shark or something like that and you were like, I want to eat it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's the fact that because it's yeah. Wow, did I just get a stuttering problem?
It's okay.
Because it's sustainable. But no, go for it. It's because it's sustainable to do that.
Yeah.
What's not sustainable is 100 million sharks a year that is going to
crazy.
shift the food dynamic. So anyway.
100 million? I couldn't have even. It was like insane. I said 25,000. 100 million? That's like. That's a third of the population, a fourth of the population of the United States. And sharks are as big as humans.
Plenty are a lot bigger.